So today I wanted to talk about the legality of drug and alcohol testing in Canada, because that tends to be a question that is asked time and time again. People just don't know, and they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing before going down that path. So in a nutshell, and this will not be an all-inclusive video, but drug and alcohol testing is legal if you do it the proper way. The main thing to keep in mind when we're talking about drug and alcohol testing in Canada is making sure that we have a proper drug and alcohol policy in place, and then making sure that we are following it and executing it every single time. Deviating from that policy is going to be the main reason that companies would get into trouble with drug and alcohol. So long as you're going to follow your policy, you have a proper policy in place, then you should be fine. So my suggestion with drug and alcohol policy is have an expert write that for you. Do not write it in-house. Please, please, please have an expert write it for you. Have your occupational health testing company review it if they're not the ones that wrote it for you. They can give you some good feedback on that as well. But that is number one. The next thing is making sure that you're testing the right people. So in Canada, we're looking at safety sensitive as the kind of threshold for who we're allowed to test versus who we're not allowed to test. So there's not a standard definition of what safety sensitive is, but I mean, it's anyone who, if they were to be impaired, they could hurt someone on the work site. So it can vary from someone operating heavy equipment to someone in manufacturing, all the way to kind of taking it a step further and thinking about salespeople, for example, who are traveling to and from meetings on the road, maybe driving a company vehicle, maybe not. But if they're impaired when they're on work business and they were to get into a motor vehicle accident, that is absolutely safety sensitive. So it can be broad spectrum. Anyone who is not safety sensitive, I would stay away from at this point. Talk to your lawyer, get some legal advice, but that's definitely a lot more of a gray area when we're talking about drug and alcohol in Canada. The next reason would be anyone who needs site access to get onto a site. And once again, those are going to be referring to safety sensitive people. There's many site owners that require it. No one is allowed onto their site without a clean drug and alcohol test. So it's not that you as a company need to do this testing per se, but you do need to do it if you want to have your workers work on that particular site. So I guess if you didn't want to do drug and alcohol testing, you could work at sites that didn't require it, but many of the sites are all requiring pre-access now, so it's going to get harder and harder to avoid working on sites that don't require it. And the final main one in Canada to look at would be transportation, and in particular cross-border transportation. So anyone who is doing cross-border transportation into the United States is automatically going to fall under the American policies on drug and alcohol testing. So even if you are in truck driving and you only have to go down once a year, automatically you're going to fall under the US DOT protocols for drug and alcohol testing. So not only is it something that you can do, it's something that you're going to have to do to stay in compliance under the American laws. And then under the Canadian laws, there's definitely allowance for drug and alcohol testing for anyone who is transportation, commercial transportation, trucking. So those are kind of your areas where you can drug and alcohol test and feel safe so long as you're following your drug policies correctly. If you have more questions about this specifically, if this is something that you want to go down, that you're not testing now, you're looking at implementing, you're nervous making sure you want to do the right thing so that you don't have any legal action come out, give me a call, give me an email, take a look at my website, www.healthconservation.ca, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.